You're welcome back, and your comments are welcome. We are live on our social media handles, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X Spaces, and of course on myjoyonline.com. Let's start from the energy sector, because the managing director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Samuel Mahama, has resigned. He's leaving the position after 2 years in office as managing director of the main electric power distributing company in Ghana. He has handed over his resignation letter to the board of the ECG and gave 2 weeks' notice. Mr. Mahama cited personal reasons for the resignation and thanked the board for the working relationship and the opportunities leading ECG to offer him. He is leaving at the time of erratic power supply in the last few days, blamed on ongoing maintenance across the country. Only yesterday, a minority spokesperson on energy, John Jinapo, claimed the power distributors are shedding more than 500 megawatts of power. He attributes the current development to dubious contracts and arrangements in the power sector.
Of such dubious contracts, as we speak today, there is load shedding ongoing. Gridco has been cautioned not to inform customers. Yesterday, there was a deficit of more than 500 megawatts. Today, they are going to shed load, and customers in Ghana will be affected. Talo Ghana has not been paid even $1 for the past 9 months for gas supply to Ghana Gas, and Talo is threatening to curtail supply of gas. The IPPs have just dispatched a letter to the Minister of Finance intending to halt supply of power for debt and liabilities hovering around $1.2 billion. It is sad that the energy sector is collapsing. The PURC recently confirmed that ECG is on the verge of bankruptcy. ECG alone incurred a debt of 10 billion cedis in their latest financial statement. All is not well with the energy sector. It is obvious from what is happening that the Barker-Vormawor government is just giving palliative care to the energy sector, intending to hand over a broken, dilapidated, aging energy sector to the Mahama administration. We are well aware that it will take a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of commitment to restore the energy sector back on the path of positive trajectory. But what we would not tolerate is for this government, which is on the verge of losing the elections, to rush into signing contracts through Ghana Gas. A similar one is being done at Tema Oil Refinery. And let me also caution Tema Oil Refinery and their staff, especially the senior management, that the opacity that is characterizing the award or sale of the Tema Oil Refinery will also not be countenanced.
So remember yesterday that news that we broke for you, the resignation of the managing director of the ECG, Samuel Mahama, citing personal reasons for the action that he's taken. But he will be in office for the next 2 weeks and will be out on the 7th of October 2024. We understand that the board is currently meeting at the ECG office to deliberate on this latest development, and then they will address a news conference after that. But let me take you live to the ECG headquarters, where my colleague James Savage is on standby. So James, when is this news conference starting?
Hello, Elton.
Yes, I asked, when is the news conference starting?
Well, Elton, it is unclear when that meeting is supposed to, the press conference is supposed to start. The original time was supposed to be 2 o'clock, and we got here and we're still on standby for that meeting to start. What we're picking from some sources in the company is that there's currently an emergency board meeting happening, after which this meeting would come on. Quite a number of issues we're looking forward to hear from the ECG. We know that they've just released that press statement jointly with the Gridco, talking about the fact that there's some challenges at Atwabo as well as the Ghana Gas Company, which they said engineers are working around the clock to fix. Reason for the intermittent power supply we've seen in the past few days. We're looking forward to know what exactly the challenge is, whether it is financial challenge or it is just technical or engineering challenge. Some of those clarifications are what we are waiting for to hear from the Electricity Company of Ghana. What we're also looking forward to hearing is some clarification on what the ECG board would make out of the ECG director's recent resignation, managing director, some of the big Mohammed's resignation letter, which he sent to the board to consider his resignation in 2 weeks. We're looking forward for some clarification on what the position of the board is on that. And so those are some few issues we're looking forward to hear the ECG addressing us on. As for what exactly is on their table to tell us, we do not know. That wasn't specified in the invitation for this press conference. Right. But we're looking forward to the end of that meeting to see what they'll be telling us. It is still unclear when exactly that press will be happening, Elton.
But James, what is the mood there, knowing very well that they will be parting ways with their MD they've known for the last 2 years? What is the mood within the office of the ECG?
Well, Elton, it's business as usual. When we came, workers have been moving up and down from one office to the other, going about their duties as they would usually do in a normal day. There's not been much interaction. I try to speak to a few of them, even off record, but they are all shying away from the subject of the resignation of the managing director. Some would even pretend they do not know. They haven't heard anything about it. And so you are the first person mentioning it to them. And so it's business as usual for them. We know that a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, there is some agitations over the privatization of VRA as well as the BRI power, and which instituted some red claddings of the office here, the ECG headquarters, as well as the VRA office here, the Electrovolta house. Those red banners are still on the stills at the entrance with the inscription VRA not for sale, all on the building. I have seen a couple of workers still with the red claddings around their neck, even as they go about their duties. That's the only recent change we've seen, but as far as workers are concerned, they are here going about their duty as usual. And
of course, we've got the VRA executives here. They will join me soon to talk about why they've taken this position against the government-proposed measure between the VRA and the BRI Power Authority. But just we'll come back to you when the news conference is on. Thank you very much. James Aveji is my man at the ECG office. The board is meeting after that. They will hold a news conference to address concerns regarding power supply, and hopefully whether the board has accepted the resignation of the managing director, Samuel Barker-Vormawor. Meanwhile, John Jinapor is demanding answers on the $24 million contract between Ghana Gas and a private company for bottling plant. According to John Jinapor, his side believes the contract has been inflicted.
I have with me here documentary evidence, and I'll make that available to you, the media, of a contract between this same Ghana Gas and Rockshore for a bottling plant at a whopping sum of $24 million, when a similar plant was constructed in terms of $14 million. To add insult to injury, this company has received 30% advance payment, and my information on the field shows that the company has not executed this work. The work was to be done within 24 months. From 2021 to date, your guess is as good as mine. And yet, Ghana Gas has been obstructed from pursuing Rockshore to either retrieve the monies or compel them to execute this project.
So we are on the energy sector this afternoon. We are heavy on the energy sector. And soon we'll take you to the ECG office here in Accra, where the management is expected to address a news conference on several issues relating to energy, the erratic power supply that we are experiencing, of course, the resignation as well. But before we do all of that, also in the studio is another issue also has a relationship with the energy, but this time it's about a protest. Now, the Workers' Union of the Volta River Authority are stepping up their opposition to government's proposed measure of the VRA and the Bui Power Authority. Now, joining me in the studio for a discussion, Mauto Hodgson Adepa, right? Okay, now he is the Senior Staff Branch Chairman for TEMA, and Jerry Nelson Nete, also the National Treasurer. So you held demonstrations across the country last week.
Yes.
So why? I'm sure I was thinking that should end it.
Well,
no.
Elton.
Okay, so let me start with Mr.
First place,
okay.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. I don't think it was a demonstration. It was a prayer. A prayer to actually not to demonstrate, but we prayed within our premises. We didn't go to demonstrate. As the word you demonstrate, no, we didn't do that. But at least we went in to pray to God. That's it. Jerry, in addition.
So, Jerry, why this opposition? Everybody, the world around, I mean, everybody and organizations are put in place so that they can pursue efficiency.
Sure.
And I'm guessing probably this is probably the reason why government wants to embark on this. Because why are you against this measure?
Yes, the government has mentioned in the bills, in the proposed bills, that they want to bring efficiency into hydro generation. We are against this because it's not an issue. Efficiency as far as hydro generation is not an issue. Henry has been in this business for well over 60 years. And for all the statistics that are available, VRA has proven that we are efficient at this particular business. In documents that we have chanced upon, the main aim of these mergers is just to carve out our thermal generation assets and just sell them. So you always hear of mergers. Everybody would have said, why are these people against mergers? It's not mergers per se because they are taking away over 1,000 megawatts of our generation assets and then giving us Bui Power, which is just about 400 megawatts. And this is even a picking plant. When I say picking plant, the water...
usually work in the evening, in the evenings.
Yes.
Exactly.
You do understand. So it's not actually the 400, that's the installed capacity. But sometimes you get about 100. Recently, they were even down to about 12 because of the amount of water that is behind the dam that they can use to generate. So it's not a measure per se, but we call it a dismemberment of VRA. That is why we are against this particular measure. Also, if these plants are sold to the private man, we know there are actors out there who are, ready to pick up these plants. The common Ghanaian is going to pay more for this, for the power, because IPPs, we know the price that IPPs sell today to the ordinary Ghanaian and the price at which VRA sells to the ordinary Ghanaian. It's way lower than what the IPPs do sell. So if it's going to go private, what is the argument in here that it's going to be cheaper? It's not going to be. And that is why we are against these.
So, Mr. Mauto, you are saying that government hasn't considered all of these and taken this decision. You guys are workers of the entity.
Yeah.
Government takes decision, and government is of the view that it will inure to the benefit of the country, and you have a position against it.
Yes, please. In the first place, we also heard it even just on Joy News, on that evening around 5:30 p.m. We were surprised, we were shocked for hearing that the proposed bill was in Parliament without even our consultation, management now having an idea, nobody knowing nothing about it. We heard it on the news just like any ordinary Ghanaian.
My understanding with Parliament practice is that usually when a bill is introduced and is referred to a committee, the committee not advertise for people to bring in inputs. So perhaps the issue of consultation, we were yet to get there.
No, but still we thought, in the first place, we have a ministry. The ministry could have at least got us involved. Our management is there. We, the staff as well, we are also stakeholders. We're also not involved. We're not even asked at all whatever for us to bring our input. You just came in with a bill. If it had gone through that day, it would have been a different thing altogether. We would not have even probably considered us actually giving them our input for them to consider it. We are not fighting for ourselves, but for Ghanaians as a whole is our concern. Not we ourselves, but Ghanaians, you and I, the one on the street. As my brother just said, our tariffs are far lower than that of the IPPs. Why then do you want to give it out to a private person who will now increase the suffering of the Ghanaians? Only be to your benefit or to an individual's benefit. This is why we feel this bill is not proper for us.
And is this your only concern, that if it is given to a private person, the price of power will go up? Is that your only concern? That shouldn't really be of major concern to you.
Thank you. That's not our only concern. As my brother said earlier, VRA has been in existence for the past 63 years. We started operating thermal as well for the past 27 years ago. What happened? We have been effective, efficient in all our operations. Nobody has complained about us. In the past, just about a month and a half ago, IPPDs threatened government they will shut down. If they are shut down, VRA would have still been operating. Do you want to add more megawatts to IPPDs for them to shut down, for the Ghanaian man to suffer? Is that what we are trying to do? Than having the state-owned VRA to operate. I don't think we have ever threatened or asked that we are going to shut down or put any plan down for Ghanaians to suffer. We have never done that. But the IPPD, because they are private, what happened? They do whatever they want to do. My VRA have stood and have stand on their feet for all these years without any challenge or any problem.
But Jerry, why don't you wait for the process to take off, and then you can possibly understand the content of it? I don't know whether you have the full facts. That is my understanding. Probably you don't have all the full facts.
We do have the facts. We've charged on a technical report that was written to government through the ministry when government took this decision to actually go this way. And what
does it say?
It's VRA is supposed to be a holding company with these companies as subsidiaries under VRA. The current measures that we see are wholly separate authorities which would operate, separately from the VRA. And there's
Ghana Hydro Authority, we are told, will be the mother company.
No, that is in the technical report. But what we are seeing in these bills is not it. The Ghana Hydro Authority is a separate authority. Ghana Thermal Power Authority is a separate authority. There is no relationship between the two. And technically, that is going to be a challenge for the power system. That is how come we are saying that, no, let us go back and then go back to at least the technical report. Let's look at because these are technical guys who have looked at the entire energy value chain.
And they've said what exactly?
Yes, that's why I said that. They said that VRA should be a holding company with these thermal generation as a subsidiary, hydro as a subsidiary, and the renewables as subsidiaries under them. In here, the companies are related. They are sister companies, and they will work better than what we have here. I heard, just in waiting for this particular one, I was hearing of challenges within the power sector.
Of course. The ECG, they put up a statement together with GRICO, admitting to what we are experiencing and saying that there's some kind of shortage of gas supply in the system. The reason why we are experiencing the erratic power supply.
There are several actors that we need not bring in so many of these actors. We believe that VRA was structured based on one of these other companies in the US, that's the Tennessee Valley Authority. And in there, it's a whole integrated chain. And it's working perfectly. These IPPs came in to help, yes. And with that, we had to amend the VRA Act in order to take away even our transmission system from us. With all these arrangements, it brings in some challenges, which affects the entire power system. Now, if we have to even go to GRIDCO and then do something, we have to go through a whole different chain. Hitherto, it would have been just at a phone call, say, okay, can we do this? Can we do A? Can we do B? Can we do C? And quickly, it's seamless. But currently, with all these actors, we have individual interests in there. I've seen GRIDCO, ECG send some notice to I mean, the general public, that there is power shortage. We know what we know.
Okay.
We cannot say everything on air, but we know that it could have been better. But for some of these independent power producers and individuals having interest in there, it wouldn't have happened this way. At least we know that ENI, I mean, they're having challenges from the supply side of gas, but especially even our Awomasu plant should be online today. But we claim that there are power challenges just because of a challenge.
I'll come back so that we can talk about that as well. And then also want to ask you, so what is next after your step-up protests across your operating areas? But let me bring in Edward Bauer. He is a member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament. Mr. Bauer, good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse.
Good afternoon, Elton. How are you?
I'm great, and it's good to have you here. So we're having a discussion around the energy sector. I have in the studio some senior staff members of the VRA. They have their own concerns. But this afternoon also, we are dealing with a very important issue, and it relates to power supply. Now, there are two issues here. Now, there's an admission that there's shortfall of gas in the system. The reason why we are experiencing some intermittent power supply in some areas, operated by the ECG. There's also the resignation of the MD of the ECG. And as we have been told, the board is in an emergency meeting now, after which they will address the media, they will address a news conference to tell us the way forward regarding two issues: the resignation of the MD and, of course, what the board is doing to deal with the shortfall of gas in the system. What is your reaction to the two matters that we have on our table this afternoon?
My first reaction is that it's unfortunate that for a country that has the capacity to, as it were, ensure that there's reliability of supply of power to its citizens, that we still find ourselves in the way we do. It is just because of the fact that beyond just not being very smart with the way we manage the sector, it has also been bedeviled with corruption and what have you. And I'll explain to you why. So first, for the power crisis that we have now, maybe the shortage of power supply that we have now, basically it's a question of fuel. Now, Gridco and then ECGs, they had a joint, press statement that was issued yesterday.
Right.
Where they talk about the fact that there's shortage of gas coming from the Ghana Gas Company. And besides that, also, of course, ENI will also know that they are producing less than their capacity. So therefore, there's a shortfall. Even as a country, when we have all our gas supplies intact, for example, getting all the full complement from ENI and that of Ghana Gas, we still have a deficit of about 50 million scarf. And so and that usually is augmented by Nigeria and then some pitches of LCO for some of the plants that can run dual fuel. So to have a situation where even these ones that even at their full complement, we are unable to get indigenous gas to power all our power plants, it makes it a bit difficult. But look, my brother, I have consistently stated, and Elton, I think that in some previous interviews that we've had, I have indicated that we're just living in on a time bomb. That irrespective of whichever government wins elections on December 7, 2024, that party coming into government in 2025 January will walk straight into a power crisis, because this is a sector that is bedeviled with debt. And I'll explain to you. So now, you recall that and I'm just trying to dovetail that to the ECG's MD's resignation.
Right.
You recall that just last week, there was a statement that was brought up, that was issued by PURC, right. Even though later on they came and gave some further and better particulars as to the basis for their statement. This statement actually emanated from ECG. And it is because of the fact that, look, if you look, when ECG is unable to account for the power they procure from all the generators. Now, even with the small that they have, they collect as a result of sales to you and I as customers, they have a challenge in even accounting for that. So as a country, and this started the latter part of John Mohammed's government and the current government's issue, that we form what we call the cash waterfall mechanism. The cash waterfall mechanism has two levels. They have what we call the level A. And the level A is made up of the IPPs and WAPCO, or WAPCO transmits power from the western part of Ghana to the eastern enclave, where most of our thermal plants.
Right.
So they are the category A. So what it simply means is that when the money comes, they will have to be dealt with first. And now, and the truth of the matter is that if you look, let's just suggest the IPPs. If the IPPs, for example, invoice ECG, the amount of money they are supposed to pay on monthly basis, ECG is unable to meet it. But there has been an arrangement as part of their debt restructuring program that irrespective of how much we invoice you, guarantee us $47 million every month so that at least the players within the IPPs will be able to get theirs. And that on the same strength, they would, WAPCO, of course, obviously will be dealt with. Now, you have a situation where even beyond just that, the remainder, assuming the ECG were collecting, assuming that their collection rates were very good, if there's a collection rate, let's assume that even their collection rate was around 90% or thereabout. What would then happen would be that after they have settled the category A people, the remainder will now be used to distribute among the category B, which is made up of the state-owned agencies within the energy sector. So VRA, GridCo, BUI, and what have you. Now, because usually the amount that will be left for the category B, there is a shortfall. It will not meet the amount that has been invoiced ECG by these state-owned agencies. So the arrangement usually within that mechanism is that government of Ghana then, that central government, will then augment that with about usually it's between $200 and $300 million Ghana cedis.
In fact, if we check, according to the PURC, the Ministry of Finance under this deal is expected to top it up with $10 million, but that has not been happening.
Yeah, so that's the argument I'm just trying to make to you. So if you look at the arrangement now, one, ECG is not able to collect enough even to take care of the category A players. The category B, they don't even get anything. Now, government of Ghana, who is supposed to augment this shortfall with their part of the contribution because of the losses of ECG and because government of Ghana is the sole shareholder, and therefore they will have to step in when the company has a problem. And two, by virtue of the fact that government of Ghana itself is a user of power, and therefore all the MMDAs will also need to be able to also pay for their power. And most of these companies or these agencies do not actually provide budgetary lines for energy costs. And so because of that, government is supposed to do that. Over the period, government has not been doing those things. So you see that BUI currently has challenged financial issues. You see that GridCo has issues. You see, in fact, VRA equally is supposed to have issues. The lack with VRA is that they also have a component from foreign sales of power, and therefore the foreign exchange they get a bit put them in a better position as compared to other companies within the energy sector at the category B. And so these were the reasons why PURC, and for that matter, the immediate past MD wrote to the presidency that if you do not do anything about this, the ECG and other companies will have to file for bankruptcy in any case, virtually. Because I have always stated that if ECG, for example, were to be a private company, it shouldn't have been in existence by now. It should have filed for bankruptcy and disappeared.
Okay.
So because of all these are the challenges that have created all these problems. So yes, the problem that we have today, and look, Elton, I tell you one thing, and I have had this banter with Ghana Gas. Do you recall that just a few weeks ago, Ghana Gas went through maintenance regime? I don't know that you know about it.
Yes, of course, the issue is statement to that effect. Yes.
Yes. And even though the cost, they have not been transparent with the cost, our insider information seems to suggest that the cost for even the maintenance was hugely ballooned. Even with that.
But how much? How much if you have the figures?
Yes, I had indicated, because my source had indicated that it was around $35 million.
For the maintenance?
For the maintenance. And when I confronted the Ghana Gas CEO at a parliamentary committee meeting that was just held about 2 weeks ago, he said it was around 5.something million. I needed evidence of it. As I speak to you today, he has not been able to provide the evidence. Okay. Meanwhile, Ghana Gas, the asset that is at trouble now is not also fully functional. Talk to the members there, and they will tell you that there is a technical problem still even with that. And so every bit of our energy sector is being,
if you like, suffocating under debts and under, inefficiency. But Mr. Bauer, if you can hear me, because I understand that you need to move on.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, so a few issues came up.
Yes.
I mean, yesterday, the resignation of Samuel Dobeg-Mahama, I don't know what you make of. He's just one person. His resignation, obviously, will not automatically resolve every challenge ECG is facing. Now, because we reference the PURC letter, the PURC, in making its own recommendation to the minister and, of course, to the President of the Republic, make reference to examples around the continent, Kenya, Uganda, and, of course, Tanzania, where their involvement of private sector in some aspect of the operations of their public power producer turn things around. I don't know if you support this partial privatization, if you like. And now that Dobeg-Mahama is out of the way, leaving office effectively on October 7, the board is meeting and to tell us the way forward. What should happen now?
You know that this was exactly, you see, what the prescription that PURC gave is not new to Ghana. You recall that even under John Mahama, just the latter part of it, we took advantage of the Compact 2 and said that we're going to use that to take care of the power sector, particularly the distribution end, which was the weakest link of our, if you look at the three functional zones of the power subsector. Now, you also recall that the basis for that was that, look, we were supposed to first make sure that we improve on the infrastructure of these particular utilities, and then leverage on private sector capital and private sector expertise to be able to improve on the efficiency of ECG and, of course, the other utilities in any way.
Right.
This was exactly what we started with, and then we handed over to this government. Just based on simple procurement under the PDS agreement, we lost $190 million. And two, we also failed in getting private sector to come in to play a role. So the prescriptions given by PURC is not new to Ghana. The only reason why it is not operational today, and we are having this conversation, is because a group of people from one family wanted to benefit from it, and we lost money for that. And the most painful part of this whole story is that just 2 weeks ago, we then had to engage the IDA, the International Development Agency, for a loan of $250 million with an interest to perform the role we're supposed to use, the $190 million. That was free. That is the situation that we have. So the prescription of PURC is something that Ghanaians would have, even maybe the power sector would have been even one of the early people to implement this. And you know that it forms part of what we call the power sector reforms. That was supported by the World Bank. That talked about the fact that diversify, the distribution end, diversify the generation end, let the transmission end be neutral and be state-owned, so that there will be a level playing field for both the distributors and the generators. This was part of the power sector reforms that was initiated under the NDC. So there's no big challenge within that particular sector. I don't know whether I'm making sense.
And briefly on the resignation of the MD and the way forward for you, especially.
So first and foremost, he didn't perform. If you came into a government, if you came into a utility, and in that particular utility, your losses have moved from roughly around 1.something billion to about 10 billion to about 10 billion in 2022. You didn't even have a business staying there. And I do not even think
that... He says that he managed to reduce technical losses from 30% to 26.7%.
That cannot be true. Who is validating this figure? Look, how on earth can he say, for example, that you have had a reduction in losses, when even after implementing the digital platform that he had and with the arrangement with Hoptel, your average collection rate is around 43%. When your benchmark that has been given to you by PURC is around 98%. So it tells you very clearly that it is not only Dubious who has to go. The board that is currently meeting, they have no business meeting. They should pack their things and leave the place. They have no business being there. They have failed the company. ECG is a milking cow, and people are simply loading and padding their pockets using the state entity. And so, look, my brother, this is your thing, Elton. You know me and you who have had this conversation many times.
Of course.
That place is, ECG is a crime scene that has to be dealt with and dealt with very clearly.
Okay. Thank you very much. Edward Bauer is a member of the Mines and Energy Committee. Now, I will take you to the ECG office shortly because the news conference is about to start. But before we do that, let me bring you back to the studio. So, Jerry, for you, you will not compromise on your stance. You are simply against any proposals to merge VRA and BUI.
Not just simply against any proposal. As I told you, I'll go back to my technical report. We are receptive of some changes because we believe that that's how companies are going to grow. I mean, we are 60-something years old, and we need to bring in some changes. But this drastic change is not the way to go, per the technical report that we have cited. That we're saying that VRA should be set up as a holding company with all these generation mixes being subsidiaries under one holding company. You know what? I think I heard Edward Bauer speak.
That VRA is under the category B.
Yeah. The major challenge in there.
I wonder how this is affecting.
It's mismanagement of the cash
waterfall mechanism
within that sector. Look, the money that is reserved for the IPPs in the category A or tier 1 group, we've seen letters or recited letters that is saying that this $45 million is going to be increased or should be increased to $59.5 million. Dollars. I mean, how that in today's even foreign exchange is around 960 million Ghana cedis. ECG does not collect in a month.
But the ECG is under this mechanism. It's supposed to collect 1 billion Ghana cedis. Yes. So if what you are saying is it should be the yardstick, then clearly the category A will take everything.
There's nothing,
and there will be nothing left for Gridco, VRA, and BUI. The reason why we are picking information, BUI, for example, Gridco, for example, find it difficult sometimes to even pay salaries on time. You wanted to chip in on that?
Yeah, I want, not only on that. You know, as we are discussing and as Mr. Bauer just said about the ECG situation. No, VRA as well, we've forgotten about NETCO. NETCO is a subsidiary of VRA.
Okay. And Mr. Moto, just 1 second, because I'm just been told that the board chair of ECG, Honorable Alexander Fenyomarkin, the majority leader, is addressing the media. Let's listen in.
Okay, very well, that's short. It's not enough on some of the challenges.
Right, so we'll take you back. We are facing some technical challenges with the connection from the ECG head office and here. We'll rectify it and take you back so that we can hear the position of the board on the resignation of Samuel Dobik Mahama. Mr. Malto, you were making a point.
Thank you very much. As I was just saying, now NETCO is part of VRA or a subsidiary of VRA. Now we know the challenge ECG is facing now. As part of the proposed bill, you want to merge ECG with NETCO. NETCO is a vast area. ECG is unable to even collect their small debts around a certain area. But if you add NETCO to it, can they manage NETCO, which is very vast, with its challenges, which NETCO VRA is able to manage up to now? It means you want the worst to happen to ECG or to happen to the country. If you should merge NETCO with ECG, this is a very crucial issue which government must consider seriously as far as making NETCO and ECG.
Is this in any way resulting in tension among you, the workforce?
In fact, our workers, we are on the job. We go to work every day. We do our work as is expected of us. At break time on Wednesdays and Fridays, we do, our prayer sessions, where we just try to bring these things up. We're going to step it up if we don't get very good response from the government. We know Parliament is in recess.
Yes, we'll be back in October.
Yeah, we'll be back in October. So,
when you say you're going to step it up, what exactly will you be doing?
In fact, it's best. Sometime back, somebody asked me this same question. I said that when you're playing cards, you always have to keep your cards.
You can't disclose
your cards, all your cards on the table. So, but we have series. What I can tell you is that we'll do possibly a presser before Parliament comes back into session, and then we hope that by that time, because we petition the presidency, we petition the vice, the speaker, and then other important players within the sector. And we hope that government is going to rescind this decision, these bills will not see the light.
And have you gotten a response from the sector ministry, the presidency regarding your concerns with the proposal?
Not. Just the little wind we've heard is that he is likely to meet us sometime next week. And we hope that...
the president?
No, not the president, the sector minister.
Okay.
The sector minister. So we hope that within that meeting, we're going to put all our issues across, and then we're going to have a dispatch.
But if there are challenges with the running of VRA, and government approach is not what you accept, then how then do we make it even more efficient?
We've said that on this table that it's not about efficiency. It's about management of cash within the sector.
And because you are the money man, and Edward Bauer's concerns, ECG is about to address energy conflict. Obviously, we'll touch on the cash water flow mechanism. Gridco, they've made it clear that they are suffocating under debt because of ECG's inability to collect and pay them. What is the story with VRA?
VRA is suffering same. The only relief sometimes we get is that we have, as he mentioned, NETCO, where we sell power to, from the Bronga-Hafo areas all the way to the north, the Tamale, Boga area, Boku area. So it helps a little bit with liquidity. But other than that, VRA,
what about export of power?
Yes, we do some exports. You remember the president
there was a directive when we were having the power issues that we should
come down, and then as such, we have reduced our exports, but some little exports do go. There is some conversation too in there where we know independent power producers are also interested in the export market. But I always ask that, okay, why did the IPPs come into being? Why did they come into Ghana? They came into Ghana to help the energy sector. So how come they want to stay in Ghana, use Ghana's gas, generate and sell to some other people outside the country? That is a question for us all within the sector and then the industry to really digest, think through and find solutions to some of these things. Individuals should not benefit from the national cake. Everybody needs to benefit from that.
Mr. Mato.
Yes. In addition, as we are discussing about these IPPs as well, and as they wanted to move to the export market, their arrangement is take or pay. What it just means simply is that...
Even if you don't use the power, you still have to pay for it.
If you don't use the power, you still pay for it. What kind of agreement is this? Do you want us to add our thermal plants to them? So when they don't even use the plant is available, the individual in your homes, in your offices, you must keep paying more for that. Is that what you want to do? This is the question you should ask them. Unlike VRA, the one you actually take is what you pay for. If you take 5 megawatts, you pay for under 5 megawatts. But in the IPPDs, who are actually operating now, theirs is that you take or you pay. Is that either you operate, you don't operate self, we are compelled to pay you. Government ECG is compelled to pay you. That's why at the end, ECG has so much debt to pay because of this take or pay. It's the another major challenge which we must all try to deal with. But if you want to add the thermal to them, it means that the worst will happen. As we are now complaining here and there about ECG unable to pay, it means they're going to add more thermal to it. Abuas will be added. Thermal have 2 plants, KTPS and TTPC will be added to it. How can they manage it? And you will add Kumasi to it. You can see the challenge ahead.
But what is happening to the Kumasi plant? The one at Angumaso?
It's suffering same, the gas. The gas challenges that we are having. But as I told you earlier on, it's supposed to work. We are supposed to have gas. We are supposed to have gas, at least with even the challenges that the Angumaso plant is supposed to work. But because of selfishness, because of some individuals who are within the system, you know a lot about it, but if you know the kind of arrangement with a gas pipeline that is moving from the west all the way to Kumasi, you would understand what I'm saying. People are not being truthful and not being fair as far as the management of the pipeline is concerned. But maybe that is another conversation for another day. Yes, because of that, we are having challenges.
So there's actually a constant supply of gas. That plant won't work. Basically, that's why.
If there's constant supply, yes, without constant supply, the plant won't work because
so since its inauguration up until date, it's never worked.
No, it's worked. It's been working. It was just shut down, I think, in September 20th. Just September 20th. But I'm saying that there is gas in the pipeline. It should work, but those who claim they operate that pipeline
they have questions to answer.
They have questions to answer because they want to.
We are about to wrap up.
You know, there is one of the IPPs that is currently an operator of a gas pipeline. It's a generator. And it's getting, I mean, very cheap prices for Ghana's gas as against what all the other players pay. So that is for me, it's a serious challenge, and it's something that we need to have a discussion around and then see how best we can.
Have you raised it as VRA, as an entity?
CSOs have raised it. Your guys have raised it before. I mean, the netback pricing, what GENSA pays. I mean, GENSA pays for the gas. I believe you are very much aware of that. And that is one of the reasons that is affecting the plants now. Yes, we have gas challenge, but I'm saying that Awomaso should be working. If you ask me, Awomaso should be working now.
Okay. In wrapping up, so as we begin, yes, Mr. Malto, as we begin to wrap up.
As far as the gas is concerned, you know, we actually signed an agreement with WAPCO, and that's the West African gas
pipeline.
Exactly. What happened? If you give our thermal out, who actually controls it? Our VRA, who signed that agreement. Currently, we receive gas from Nigeria. That is why our plants today are currently at even TTPC is working. By 4 p.m., KTPS at Tema will pick up as well, will pick up. Whilst others are down. Sometimes we have to streamline things and make sure government does the right thing. Not to only have interest in privatization, giving it out. The state also needs to own something. How many state institutions from Nkrumah time are still existing up to today? Can you tell me anything? But VRA, we should be praising the engineers, all stars, for all that we are doing so far for Ghana from day one till now.
All right, Jerry, so as we wrap up, what will be your final take to your colleagues who are listening and, of course, to government officials?
What I would tell my colleagues is that they should, as we've said as leaders, that our red bands are still up. We are not coming down until these bills also come down. So they should remain resolute. Everybody should be at his desk and do his work. And we'll be getting back to them as to the series of activities that we want to put in place as we see the situations change. We believe that government will listen, and then let's go back to the drawing board. Even before these things go to Parliament, we need to have a discussion around it and see how best we can carve out acts that can assist or help the entire value chain. One other thing that I mentioned, a 59.5, the increase of from $45 million to $59.5 million, is just because Asogli is coming online, and then one other plant is also coming online. I mean, just for their capacity charges. That is how come ECG is requesting that. The increase, the money that is reserved per month for these IPPs from 45 million to $59.5 million. That is what he spoke about. I mean, the take or pay arrangement. Because of that, we have to increase that capacity charges for these IPPs. Okay. But I'm saying that when VRA controls the thermal bit, I mean, we just have a little around 50% of the power market within the country. And I mean, we are going to manage it, or we'll be managing it best. And as such, VRA should not be dismembered. We are receptive of I mean, some restructuring, but let's have that discussion before we go in with all these bills. I mean, these bills will not inure to the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian, and even Ghana for that matter.
All right, thank you so much, Jerry and Mauto from the Voter Review Authority, and someone will say, Aluta continue until...
Thank you very much.
Until this matter is off the table.
But we wish to thank all our members, all staffs, both unionized staff as well as the senior staff, even our own management too. We wish to thank even our retirees and all who are supporting us. We will not let them down, but we'll fight to the last end.
Thank you so much for coming. But let me take you back.